Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today with the Gloucester Times reporters, Stephen Hagan and Ethan Foreman. Nice to see you guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Heather, how you doing today?
Good, thank you. So, Stephen, let's start with you. The Manchester by the Sea new cell signaling company has some news.
Right. Cell signaling, they're planning to build a huge campus off 128 and School Street in the area that's near the Manchester Athletic Club. Well, the part of the process is making the formal application for a variance to the Zoning Board of Appeals in Manchester, which they did this week. So they're trying to minimize, the planning board wants them to minimize the visibility of the proposed development from 128 and not develop on the site's undisturbed land. I've been down there a couple of times, and it's a site right off the School Street exit by the Manchester Athletic Club. It's a former quarry. Their plan is to build the project on the cliff, on top of the cliff and over the cliff into the quarry. So anyway, a lot of issues around that, a lot of potential revenue for Manchester by the Sea. So things are moving ahead with that.
Stephen, is it one story, two stories? What is it?
I can't remember exactly. I know it's several stories, not like 3, 4, 5, not that many, but the variance request asks to increase the building height from 55 to 63 feet high, and also allow an 11-foot increase in the height of vent pipes from 15 feet to 26 feet. So
okay.
It's not a gigantic, not a tall structure, just it's a very interesting design. I'm sure architects will find a lot of interest in the actual design of the project itself. And anyway, so that's one story. Next story, this week, a $1.5 million grant was awarded for open space in mostly Manchester and Essex and part of Gloucester. The award announcement came from Governor Maura Healy's office. Arnie Sarkisian of the Manchester Essex Conservation Trust. She was very excited about it. They're partnering with the Greenbelt, and the Greenbelt basically the grant's coming essentially from what I gather to them, and then they're working to obtain more open space. As far as where it is, I've already gotten a couple of questions because it was kind of buried in my story. But I know an area in Manchester, it's called Long Hill. That's part of where this grant is aimed at.
Does it abut at all the cell signaling property?
I'm sorry?
Does it abut, or is it close to the cell signaling property?
I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. And I'm sure our Pulitzer Prize winning intrepid journalists will be on that one right soon.
Well, it's a lot of open space out there, and
sure is
beautiful. And I know cell signaling is a certain economic development zone. It's zoned for economic development, but it is close to all that beautiful open space. And then there's also the 40B project going up there. So there's a lot happening in that area.
Shingle Hill Place, yeah.
Right.
Also another project which was thought to have died in Essex, where the Apple Street road elevation and culvert project. It did go to town meeting last spring and was defeated, but the town is going to introduce a measure at fall special town meeting that comes up on November 13th, same night as the one in Manchester. The two full town meetings on the 13th of November. Anyway, this one they're trying to resurrect the project. They're going to, the only thing that's really different, from what I gather from the town administrator, the wording of the article is the same. It's identical to the article in the spring. I suppose that passes the muster of the legality, but it's going to be offered in the same way. They will have a PowerPoint presentation at town meeting this time, so it's going to be a little. I think they're making an attempt to answer all the questions around this area, this topic. there are people obviously along Apple Street which are not pleased with the project plans. That is the subject of an article that I'll file later today. I did talk to a number of people that live on Apple Street and are interested in the project going down to defeat again.
Is it, so I'm not wrong to think this is a little surprising that the exact same article will be on in the special town meeting again consecutively when it was defeated. It's strange, right?
Well, it raises the question of whether or not it's legal, I suppose. As far as I know, and I've been told that the language is the same as it was on the warrant last spring, but who knows? I'm just a reporter. Lastly, I have a good article, really cool article in Manchester by the Sea 20 years ago. A carnival ceased being, and that was called the Manchester Harbor Harvest Fest. Basically, it ended because the effort to acquire volunteers, get volunteers to help with the carnival just wasn't working. But this time around, there's a number of neighbors in town, including Manchester's Emily McCavanagh and her husband, as well as Tyler Pinstein. They've all organized to get another festival, another carnival up and running this weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, October 20th to the 22nd, actually Friday to the Sunday. They will have the Manchester Harvest Fest Carnival. It's going to take place in Masconomo Park. If I say that properly. Masconomo. Say that 3 times.
There's a lot of Masco in this region.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Heather.
Okay, Ethan, you've got some news coming from the Senior Center in Gloucester this week, right?
Yeah, I think since I've been covering Gloucester, there's been a lot of talk about in-person meetings, hybrid meetings with Zoom and in-person. And one of the things that came up with the city council meeting and going back to its in-person meetings in the Kairos Auditorium was a plan to convert 3 spaces in the senior center to be able to have Zoom and hybrid meetings. This also actually ties in with the library, because the library project means that they're going to take some of their audiovisual equipment out and put it in the senior center so you can have hybrid meetings there. This has all been in the works. And the key to this, what would be the key to this all happening, is a new roof on the senior center, because the roof was leaking. They didn't want to put new audio video equipment into that place, especially that's on loan from the Sawyer Free Library. So yeah, so we did a tour of the senior center earlier this week. The city has pretty much put about nearly $1 million into the senior center, sort of quietly. That's why the reason I gave you the backstory was I've been hearing about these things, bits and pieces. Probably should have been following the council a little bit closer, because the council approved $735,000 for roof repairs and new HVAC equipment. So when you go into the senior center, it doesn't look any different than it really is. But soon they'll be setting up 3 rooms there that can accommodate hybrid meetings for city boards and commissions, and whoever wants to do a Zoom hybrid meeting. If they want to meet with seniors remotely on Zoom, they could do that, or if there's programming in another senior center. So it's a much more wider project than just just city meetings. But city meetings are important, and as boards get back in person, it'd be nice to have them be able to Zoom as well. So that's where that stands. There was money too that was used from a variety of sources, including the Comcast Enterprise Fund. They rewired the senior center. So apparently, Elise Sinagra, the executive director of the Council on Aging, of the Elder Services Director, said their pipe basically was about this big before, and now it's like this. So improved Wi-Fi. It was great when I was doing the story. Mayor Verger was there showing us around with Elise, and Safathia was there. She's a Shine counselor. She helps seniors this time of year enroll for Medicare, Medicare. I'm going to get that wrong. Medicare. And yeah, so it's important to have seniors who want to meet there, have that connectivity. And so it's not just Wi-Fi is not a luxury, and these kind of technologies are not a luxury. So it's a good upgrade for the senior. The great room in the senior center is going to have a new screen and the ability to show presentations that you'll actually be able to see because the screen's is modern.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's made a lot of upgrades into the Rose Baker Senior Center. It's great amenity for the years. And when I was there, they were playing cribbage, and I wish I could have joined in. So
Oh, well, so how many options are there for hybrid meetings in the city? There's Kairos now and the senior center. And isn't there one in the harbor master's
yeah, the Harbor Master's office has a conference room that has been broadcasting hybrid meetings, in person and Zoom meetings. It's small,
Okay.
tight quarters, and in the summer it gets cut in half because the boaters use the other half of the room.
Oh, yeah.
So the Kairos is now online, and they want it's the main floor of City Hall. It's City Council chambers because the conference room right off the main lobby, and that's been converted. See a lot of moving parts. It's been converted to the purchasing department, which was burned out of the basement due to a fire back in the spring.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be converted to a hybrid room. So there'll be a lot of options for. It's not just the city council. When you think about the city council, mayor was saying that the ZBA is going to be meeting in person and on Zoom and hybrid meetings. They're going to be the next to go into the Kairos. They have to be trained to do it. It's a great amenity. Look, we're on Zoom now, right? We should all be in person. We're on Zoom, and the ability to meet remotely and have these conversations is pretty vital. So it's pretty good. So, hats off. Rose Baker Senior Center is a great amenity. If you're 60 years old, you can join. And hey, if I lived in the city, I joined because hey, free lunch.
All right. So there is also it's sort of a big day because the Hopper banner came down, right?
Yeah, it's I was looking at that banner for almost a year, and it's kind of sad. It's the end of something. It was a much anticipated exhibition of Gloucester of Hopper's and his wife's work from Gloucester and Cape Ann, where he got his start.
Stephen,
Yeah, there you go.
oh, there it is. Yeah. What I didn't know about this before I read this story was how hard it is to get it up there. It never occurred to me that you needed that whole scaffolding, sort of electronic scaffolding guy.
Yeah. How did it get up there? Yeah. So I learned a lot about how banners get attached to the side of the Cape Ann Museum.
Right.
They had a great attendance. They had they normally get 25,000 people a year, and they got about 36,000, over 36,000 for the one exhibit, and the attendance of the museum was over 60,000. So the
city went, and Cape Ann, everybody on Cape Ann went, which is such a nice thing for everybody to have this sort of unifying experience. So it was really wonderful. Not to mention the art was just beautiful.
Yeah, the art was beautiful, and I think the Oliver Barker, the museum's director's take on this was they weren't just coming to see the Hopper exhibit, they were also coming to see the museum as well. Maybe you would come in before, just to see the museum. Because it was just one room, but 65 works of art. I actually went on one of the last days. I thought I was gonna have plenty of time to see this. My wife and my daughter came up and we went together, and it's pretty impressive. And it's actually, I think a lot of people responded to it because this exhibit like this will never happen again. The Whitney has most of Hopper's and Joe Nivison's paintings and artwork, and for them to do this, the Cape Ann Museum only has one drawing.
Oh, really? Only one Hopper?
Hopper's one, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So if anybody out there wants to donate their hopper, the Cape Ann Museum would probably love it. But it was really Gloucester and Cape Ann centric. The granite prospect. If you wanted to go, I tell people every time I drive around the city, I feel like I'm driving around a hopper painting.
I
Right? I drive down Prospect Street. And I'm like going, yeah, yeah. The towers of of Our Lady of Good Voyage.
The telephone wires, the sunset.
The
It's
sunset, the
kind of a
shack.
place.
He
Yeah.
didn't just paint the glorious Gloucester. He's just, but the light here is so beautiful. I mean, it's really, it's a treat. Sometimes I come out of the office, I'm like, wow, So banner comes down, and can I make a plug?
Yeah. Go.
Well, that's what we're all about here. On December 2nd, the photography above the fold artwork of the Gloucester Times is opening. Charlie Lowe, famous photographer. I think our staff photographer Paul Billett will have a piece in there too.
I hope so.
Local photographers who've shot for us. Now I'm relatively new to the paper, but what a wonderful treat, and what a wonderful way to highlight local journalism, the importance of local journalism. And really, I'm working for an institution here. There's a lot, it's an award-winning institution. So that's going to December 2nd. It's going to run for a few months. Going to close out the 400th anniversary for the Cape Ann Museum. That exhibit is again opening December 2nd. I think they're going to put me in a plexiglass box. It'll be like reporter. That's like really still.
It's going to be a great show. I think that there will be lines to get into that show. Everyone's going to want to see that, at least every local. So
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
It's 40 years of photography up to like 2005. And Trenton Carl's the archivist, has been in here rating our bric-a-brac.
Yeah,
what's left.
I've been in those archives recently, and I've seen the stacks of just stuff. Not pictures, but maybe contact sheets. I don't know. I've seen a lot.
Like one other plug for the museum. If it wasn't for the museum, and if it wasn't for the Sawyer Free Library, preserving us on microfilm and putting us online, this history would be lost. It's true. We're a newspaper. We have our daily thing to do. We're not archivists.
Right.
So for them to take this on is just a great amenity for everyone, I think, for history.
No, it's going to be a great show. So one last story. This is really interesting. There's something going on with the clams off of Wingersheek.
Yeah, I'm writing a story for Monday. The shellfish warden, Pete Simonara, called me, said, if you go and you see tens of thousands of juvenile clams washed up on the beach, don't worry. It's just an overpopulation event. There's just too many clams, not enough bottom. So they wash up on the beach, and they've been going out. They got permission from the state to relocate them. So that's what I'm writing about. It's pretty cool, actually.
Ethan, Heather, one part of the story that you haven't covered yet is that this is really more a protest by the clans since Clam Fest was canceled recently in Manchester.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of
clams are not happy.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's not an unhealthy event for these clams. I mean, it's not a sign of something cryptic, sort of.
No, it's just overpopulation. They can't find the competition for the bottom.
Okay.
So they're just moving them to somewhere else, and there you go. They're not dead.
Okay.
They're just clammed up.
All right. Well, I'm going to trust that the clams are okay, and it's just a matter of they're so healthy that they've reproduced too many times. So, and they need more space. So that's great. All right. Well, does anyone have anything else to report this week? Anything you're working
election season all the time. So
yeah, all day long. Yeah.
Actually, I do. Heather, I mentioned the Apple Street project and what's going on with that. I'll be following a story later today for tomorrow's paper, most likely. I talked to a number of residents along Apple Street who are not too keen on the project moving ahead.
All right. Well, I look forward to that, Stephen. Thank you very much. All right. So I'll see you both next week. And as they say, if the creek don't rise and Apple Street stays unflooded.
Thank you. Well said.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.